Hey, welcome back to Take It to the House. This is our segment on Brentwood Academy football, the high school football segment of Take It to the House. Of course, Alex and I are talking about college football and the NFL for the next 26 weeks, but I just wanted to give a little analysis after the first regular season game tonight between Brentwood Academy and Lawson High School. Big event. Welcome back to Brentwood Academy for Coach Brian Lilly. He's been the head coach at Lawson, a new school now, for 3 years, and was at Brentwood Academy for over 10 years. Played long ago for Cody White, came to Nashville from Texas because of Coach White, and had a nice long time at Brentwood Academy. But Lawson, the past couple years under Coach Lilly, has a new program. I think they had 4 wins and 3 wins the last 2 years, although I think last year their team was a little bit more competitive. So Lawson had a couple of good athletes, a few good players, fairly decent up front, but the game was pretty dominated by Brentwood Academy on the line of scrimmage on both sides. I will say Lawson did do a pretty effective job of pressuring Cruz Jenkins. He did a good job, I think, of stepping up in the pocket, completing a few passes downfield, although I think that was a little bit later on in the game. Brentwood got a real boost at the beginning. A new athlete, Baskin, I think his name is Lex Baskin, had an opening kickoff return for a touchdown, really great return, and then a really nice play by the defensive end, and I'll have the rosters and the names handy next time, but I think Humphreys was the name of the defensive end, number 24, who had a really nice pick on a screen that returned for a touchdown. So Brentwood Academy had a 14-0 lead early in the game without their offense really doing anything yet. But I thought that Larry Sanders really ran hard, did a good job. Kenny Simon came in, had some nice runs as well. Keyshawn Bowman is always going to be an athlete to look out for, but I thought Cruz did a good job of recognizing a cushion, had a couple of quick passes to Keyshawn that he was able to get yards after the catch. But Larry had 3 touchdowns, I believe, rushing, and there were a couple other rushing touchdowns. I don't think there were any passing touchdowns, but final score 45-7. Lawson certainly is a building program, so they're not probably one of the better teams that Brentwood Academy will play this year, but they're formidable. But next week is going to be a big test on the road against Brentwood High. Biggest things I'm going to be looking for out of Brentwood Academy, I'm sure Coach Wade's the same way, eliminate mistakes. I think there were a few penalties, but not that many. I was pleased that there weren't a lot of, sort of careless offsides or illegal formation penalties. The offense looked a little bit more crisp than sometimes it did last year. Maybe that's part of being in a new system, so Cruz is kind of used to that. I tend to always, hold the quarterback responsible for making sure guys are off the ball or on the ball in different formations. But it seemed like the signal calling on the line of scrimmage, a couple times there were audibles, were pretty clear. There weren't a lot of missed snaps, not a lot of missed timing, guys jumping off sides like sometimes you see in early games. So BA did a pretty good job. I think there was offsides on an extra point or something like that got Brentwood Academy. One pass interference call that I thought was a terrible call. But the corners did okay. The safeties did okay. Linebackers did okay. I thought the defensive front, though, was pretty dominant. Spillman was great up front. I noticed Roman Jennings was in on a lot of plays. Belleville was always, in the mix of making stuff happen for the defense. Kenny Simon did pretty well. I think Troy Portes had a really nice play on a deep ball, which is really improved from what I saw from Troy last year. So I think Troy is somebody they're going to depend on to be a playmaker on the defensive side too. So overall, I would think Coach Wade's pretty pleased, but at the same time, in perspective, there's a lot of things to build on. And I think Brentwood High is going to be a more difficult opponent. They get to go on the road next week and see what they can do. Obviously, it's just down the road. Big rivalry in Williamson County. Brentwood High did get the best of Brentwood Academy a couple years ago. Brentwood Academy got them back last year. And we'll see what happens next Friday night. But overall, congratulations to Coach Wade. Congratulations to the Brentwood Academy Eagles, 1-0 on the year. And be sure to check back on Take It to the House and the Coach Rob Show. We'll be putting up some of the interviews that we get throughout the year. And I'll be referring back to some of the Coach Wade interview from the off season, as well as some of the preseason interviews that I had with some players. Didn't have a lot of time to do that tonight, but the Jumbotron was a big issue, and the press box was pretty preoccupied on making sure that was going. So they pulled it off. The Jumbotron worked, and it was a great atmosphere. So congratulations, BA, and we'll see you again next week after the Brentwood High game.